Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Gabby, and this is Soul Style Talks, and the theme is still the Love What You Do series. And my guest for today is Bhavesh Vaghela. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. And so Bhavesh is published author. He is a digital craftsman, public speaker, and he is a massive foodie as well. So welcome, Bhavesh. Hi, nice to have you here, and thanks for joining me here today.
Hi, Gabby. A pleasure.
So just with the theme of love what you do. So I've spoken about this before in my previous talk, that it's really the process of doing the loving what you are doing, and that kind of gets you the spark and the passion and the fulfillment. So just kind of want to see what you think, whether it is what it means to you as well. When you say love, love what you do, what does that mean to you?
I guess loving what you do, for me, it kind of, the underlying basis of it is your purpose and your why. So you're never going to find something, or maybe you will, but I've not found it yet, something that you will love every single day, 24/7. There's always going to be peaks and troughs as you go through the things that you do, either in a personal place or in a kind of an academic or in a professional position. You're always going to have these peaks and troughs. But I think what's really key about loving what you do is trying to understand what is the why, what is the purpose, why are you doing something, but also looking inwardly at yourself and understanding what your trigger points are. What are the things that you actually love about the things that you do? Maybe it's going for a drive, maybe it's cooking food, maybe it's eating food, whatever it is, what is the reason why you enjoy that? And it could be the taste, it could be spending time with people, it could be getting energies from other people, it could be learning. Really understanding that basis then allows you to tailor the things that you do so that you can get more exposure to things that you really enjoy doing, and try and limit the things that you don't enjoy doing. And that way you end up getting the majority of the time of loving what you do.
Yeah, that's great. So what is your why?
What is my why? I think my why is quite simple. It's connecting people and ideas together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. I am an extrovert. I get my energies from talking to people. I love just sitting and listening to people and learning something new. And my why is around connecting the dots from different people to actually create something that's quite substantial or game changing in the market or in the industry. So my why is quite simple: connect people and ideas and create something great.
That's brilliant. So that kind of brings me to another question of you being the digital craftsman. So just tell me, who is digital craftsman or what it is?
Okay, so when I look at myself, and I'm a VP of products at a company called CallSign, which is a cybersecurity company working on identity and authentication. But really, that's just the role title. For me, my passion is digital. My passion is building things that then customers use. And seeing someone on the train using something that you created it gives me the greatest joy. And digital is really a craft. You can learn lots from books, but what really comes from building digital products is that experience. And the only way you get experience, the only way you become a craftsman, is by getting that experience. So going through all your failings, learning from your failings is the only way you become a craftsman. Like with anything, right? You don't become the greatest, joiner or person who can, put wood together or build houses straight away. You learn as you go through that process. You make mistakes, you learn from the mistakes, and then you get your little hacks. So the shortcuts into how to do certain things. And I'm putting all that together. My kind of 15 years of experience in the industry kind of gives me that craft. And digital is my craft.
That's amazing. Really great. Yeah, lots of years of experience there for sure. And then I think in one of your blogs, which is called Swiftly Agile, I think you also kind of said that you are always looking for the next wave of innovation. So just tell me a little bit about that, and what is this sort of maybe latest innovation you have applied, or that you have worked on, or that you have been involved in, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, if we just look at the word innovation, what is innovation? And it could be anything, right? It could be something brand new, using new technologies, using new processes, something totally new. But really, innovation in its core essence is providing a different outcome with the existing parts. So you can reconfigure the existing parts so you have a different outcome. And, from a young age, I've always looked at processes. When people are joining queues for no random reason, I'm always looking to shortcut this and find an easier route out and getting a better outcome. So for me, kind of innovation really is making sure that you can get a better outcome, even by just reconfiguring the bits that you have. So in my current industry, I work in cybersecurity, specifically authentication and identity. What that means is I look to protect vulnerable customers who may be subject to fraud by social engineering through banking apps, or having the phone calls to say that they need to pay a fine. So I build out technologies with my team to look to detect that and prevent that from happening, mainly to kind of protect the vulnerable people. So my latest innovation that I was involved with is something called dynamic intervention. Essentially, it uses very clever technologies to detect when a customer is potentially in social engineering. Social engineering essentially is when someone's being coaxed into paying their life savings. Someone rings them up and says that your money's in danger, or you need to move they're from the bank or they're from the police. But really what they're doing is socially engineering the person to transfer the money to a kind of someone else's account. So some very clever bits of technology to detect if social engineering is happening, and then rapidly respond to the customer's kind of experience to actually cognitively jolt them. And what I mean by that is almost throwing water in the face, so they actually wake up from the pressure and that kind of, I need to pay all my money out because my money's in danger. Throwing that water on the face, cognitively jolting them to actually realize what they're doing, bringing from the kind of autopilot back into the kind of the front cortex around the actual, what am I actually doing? Is this the right thing I should be doing? Am I going to lose all my money? And actually stopping that fraud from happening. So that's probably the exciting innovation that I've heavily been involved with this year and last year.
That's amazing, because it's definitely happening, quite a lot, isn't it? People just calling. And so if I received a call today to say, hi, you need to pay your taxes, etc., you immediately go, they're kind of like, oh my God, what is happening? But it kind of made me think, it's like, okay, they would obviously send a letter first, or do something else, but other people might not have that. So what would be the first thing then?
So
would you advise them, or the people, or?
So it's using technology. So if I was ringing you up and you were using the call sign technology, and I was like, hey Gabby, your money's in danger, you need to transfer your money. Then in the background, our technology is running on your banking app. So your banking app is now knowing that you've logged in, and then knowing that you're paying a reference that you never paid before. You're paying all your money to this reference. It's called COVID fraud or something. So using some business context, using kind of location, the way you're handling your phone. Is your phone being used at the same time? All these indicators give you a good indication if social engineering is happening. At that point, we can then prompt you, the cognitive jolt, say, hey, Gabby, are you on the phone right now? Yes, I am. Is it someone saying they're from the bank? Yes, it is. Okay, we believe this is fraud. We're not going to let you do it. So it's around using this passive signal, the idea that some social engineering going on, and then being able to provide some active interventions to the customer so that they can actually wake up from the autopilot and go, okay, actually, this is probably not something I need to do.
Wow, that's amazing. Really, really great innovation. That's awesome. And hopefully it's going to help many, many people, because I know it's happening a lot and always has been. So
for sure. And with COVID, everything's gone remote, everything's gone digital. You've got more people who are using digital who are not digital natives. So, you know,
Mhm,
historically they would have gone to the bank to pay the bills.
That's
Now they're
right.
using digital. You know, they get the phone call to say you need to pay your bill. Here's your, or even an email.
Mm.
Here's the sort code account number. You know, they don't think twice. They think it's an email. It looks like it's from British Gas. I'm just going to pay it. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's kind of,
yeah.
how do you prevent that from happening is an interesting challenge.
Definitely. But yeah, amazing what you do, for sure. So my next question would be about, so sometimes when you want to get to loving what you're doing, you sort of need to make some changes and being adaptable. And I think you also mentioned that Darwin's quote somewhere, that it is quote, it says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change."
Adaptive.
So, so how do you react to change? And any advice for people who kind of are a little bit stressed out about changes and how to adapt easily?
I think, yeah, I mean, there's no silver bullet to change. I think change is hard on everyone. It's not something that, you know, I've not met anyone who says they absolutely love change all the time, right? Because people crave certainty and stability, but they also crave uncertainty, and that's why they go on road trips. That's why they go and do things that they wouldn't normally do. So there is this balance where you crave certainty to give you a firm foundation, but you also crave uncertainty for excitement. So there is no silver bullet around kind of making sure that you can adapt to change. The advice I'd be giving people who may be in a sticky situation or a situation where change is happening to them, what I'd be saying to them is focus on the things that you have control over. You know, it's quite easy for you to live in your brain and catastrophize about what if scenarios and say, oh, you know, what happens if this happens? What happens if a spaceship lands on my house? And you know, you can come up with the most random things.
Absolutely.
And to you, they feel real, right? They feel real. They feel like it's going to happen. And what I'd kind of recommend people to do, if they're fearful of changes, what I call a fear audit. So look at the change that's happening and think about, you know, what's the worst case scenarios? What could really happen? Write them down, right? You know, spaceship lands on my house and destroys my roof. You know, someone steals my car, the wind blows and the tree falls down, whatever it is, you know, it could be changing jobs. You know, what if people don't like me? What if I don't get on with my boss? Whatever the case may be, write down all your fears. Once you write them down, it provides a focus on your thinking, because your brain is wild. It's like the Wild West, right? It will think about ideas at 100 miles an hour, and you'll get very noisy brain. So to reduce the noisy brain, write your fears down. Then the next thing you do is you write down kind of your mitigating kind of actions you can do, right? So, you know, I won't use the alien idea, because I don't know how you stop an alien landing on your job. But let's say you're starting a new job, right? And you're thinking, what happens if my work friends are not very nice, right? So, okay, well, what mitigating action can you do? Maybe it's going and having lunch with them or drinks with them before you start work, right? Or going in one day early, or just going around and meeting them on your first day and remembering people's names, remembering things about them. Because generally people are nice, right? Genuinely, no one comes into work to be not nice. So people are nice. And if you have that kind of truth, and you can do some mitigating actions, right? So, you know, go and meet them before work, go have, you know, arrange a dinner or some drinks or something, so you get to know them on a personal basis. That will help you be less fearful about starting a new job, for example. You know, what happens if I can't do the job? Maybe a thing where you go, oh, what happens if I can't do it? Well, you got through the interview, you've got relevant experience. The things you won't be able to do, you'll be able to learn, right? So having that kind of flexible mind to say, well, I'll know what I know, I'll be able to add value where I can add value, and where I don't know what I don't know, I will understand that's my blind spot, and either if you're senior enough, you'll hire someone to fill in that blind spot, or you will go and learn and make sure that blind spot is not a blind spot, right? So you can write that down, right? You know, maybe there's a certain topic that you know you'll need to know that you're not very not very learned in, well, maybe you go and find someone who can spend, buy them dinner and spend an hour or 2 hours with them, and you'll probably learn more than you would in 6 months, right? So you can write them down. So once you've done your fears, you've done your mitigating actions, the one thing you can do is what if I don't do anything, right? So, if you have a fear and you have an action you can do, what happens if you didn't do it? And if you didn't do it and nothing really changes, then don't do the action, right? But if you don't do the action, it gets worse, then do that action.
Right.
So it gives you a way of prioritizing all your kind of, the things that you're feeling fearful about, and then the actions you need to do to feel less fearful. And then surround yourself with people you can talk to. So always surround yourself with people who you can just converse with, have conversations with, be honest with, be open with. Tell them you're not feeling very great, and when you have that group of people, they'll be able to help you. So I think that kind of primes your brain. So whenever there is any sort of change going on, you have a method or a process you can go through to make sure that your brain is adaptable. Because really, it's all about adapting. Change is going to happen to everyone. We don't live in a stasis. We don't live in a place where nothing's going to change. The weather changes, the environment changes, nothing's going to stand still. And if you're standing still, you're going backwards because everything's moving forwards. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, change is constant. And how do I make myself adaptable to that change? It's about changing everything. It's about changing the things that are continuously going to change and make sure you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is really about kind of having that courage to do the sort of like first step, isn't it? When that fear is like in front of you and it all looks so scary in, whatever way or in any environment. So kind of just to say, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just take that one little step and see what happens and then continue from there. So definitely agree, and very good advice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll think of that when I write my fears down, because I think we all tend to kind of scare ourselves, don't we, seeing the worst case scenarios, but they're all in our heads. So as you say, if you write these down, some of them might actually be like, oh my god, that's ridiculous, that's never going to happen, so you can just cross it off straight away. So thanks. Exactly. That's very good. So I think the next step from here is probably going into transformation, isn't it? So once you kind of adapt and change, it's like the transformation, turning from the moth to butterfly and kind of, starting to sort of enjoy yourself in that new way. So what would you say what kind of transformation have you gone through? Any transformation recently, and has any significant one has happened to you, and what did it mean to you?
So I guess transformation can be at many, many different levels, right? It could be your body, your health. It can be transformation in your relationships, in your working world, in your personal life. So transformation happens at many different levels. As we were talking before the interview, just had my kitchen done during COVID, took ages, everything was in a mess. But having that view that actually it's going to get better, and having that view that actually I can live with the dust everywhere and, cooking out of, on a microwave, on a dining table with a camp stove, it's going to be all right. We can get through this, because actually having a nice kitchen at the end is worth it. And that's kind of the analogy with transformation. Is your mindset should be not around putting the brakes on and trying to slow down the transformation, because really you can't slow down the tide, right? The tide is something, if you've ever done surfing before, you can't stop the tide, right? It doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how much iron you pump, you're not going to be able to stop the tide. The tide is the change. So what you have to be acceptable of, if you use the surfing example, is, okay, I know when the wave's coming, I need to be prepared for that. And then when I'm prepared for it and I can ride the wave, I'm going to be in a better place. So to answer your question in terms of transformation, I've had lots of transformation throughout my whole life, I guess. Everything from kind of studies, me as a person. I do find as I get older and hopefully more wiser, I've become more grounded in what is valuable to me. And, really, I don't like materialistic objects. are valuable, but they're not really valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
But time with friends, time with loved ones, with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
with family, they're the things that I truly value now. So that's kind of a mental transformation. So advice I'd give to people is make sure you're prepared for the transformation. The way to be prepared for your transformation is think of your brain as whatever metaphor. You know, I use the sea because honestly, I think I was a fish in my past life because, you know, I love the sea. It's where I feel
Awesome.
you know, at home.
Yeah.
So I use the sea as my example, right? And be like that way, be quite fluid, you know, go and seek that opportunity. Make sure that when a transformation is happening, you're not kind of trying to pull back on the tug of war and hold back. Let go and just let it happen. But then control the things you can control, right? Don't let, you know, sometimes it's fearful when you feel like you have no control. And this is how people then get like eating disorders and things like that because they want a way of having control. So what you should be doing is when transformation is happening, let's say in your workplace, then understand what opportunities are going to be available, understand where you can add value. And hey, it might be that you do the transformation and you realize that actually there is no other opportunities and it's time for you to move on. But that's okay as well. You just got to be kind of that open to possibilities, adventure, new opportunities, and kind of allowing the transformation to happen, but also guiding that transformation the way you want to.
Yeah. Thanks. That's very good advice there as well, because as you said about your kitchen, my parents are having their kitchen done as well, and it has been delayed by almost 2 months. So my mom is stressing out, and she's definitely not riding the wave yet. So I'll have to tell her that it's going to be okay, and you know, she just has to kind of let go. And exactly as you say, it's kind of the having everything under control, and things don't go according to plan sometimes, isn't it? So we have to sort of think of that as well, thinking of the transformation.
And I think sometimes where I see people get stressed the most is where they feel like they don't have control.
That's right. Yeah.
And when they want to control everything and every aspect of their life, they can get very stressed because actually it's impossible to control every aspect of your life. So what you need to be able to understand is say, well, I've got control over these things. And the only thing you really have control over is your brain, right?
Yes.
And what you think.
Yeah.
What you think, what you learn, what you think about, how your brain works, pretty much the only control you have, right? You know, you can say that you have control over your health, be healthy, exercise, this sort of thing. But really, if you're going to get some sort of disease, you will get that disease, right? There's ways of preventing it, but that will happen. You tend not to have control over the environment around you. You can do things to make it better, but you know, again, it's not something you can have control over. So the only thing you really have control over is yourself and your brain and the way you think. So, you know, when you try and control everything outside, you know, try and stop it raining, it's not going to happen. You can get stressed, you can shout, you're not going to stop it raining, right? It's kind of you know, it's that kind of thing. So letting go of things and saying it's okay, it will be okay, I think is a really good mindset to have.
Definitely. You just let it rain and see and wait for the sunshine. It always comes.
Exactly that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks, Bhavesh. And now I think it would be great if we can talk about Hungry Hindu. So I can see that.
There's my
there
brand
it is.
brand marking just there. So yeah, HungryHindu.com is my food blog. I'm a massive foodie, as you said in the intro, Gabby. So and what I mean by massive foodie is I really enjoy cooking food, eating food, and sharing food with people. So I don't, you know, eating on my own is pretty dull, but if I'm making something and everyone's eating, it's much better. And I think food is a great leveler, right? It doesn't matter how, you know, rich you are, how poor you are, everyone needs to eat. And essentially, if you're eating at a restaurant, you could be sat next to a celebrity, someone else, whoever. It's a very good leveler, depending on the restaurant you go to, but it's a good leveler. And sharing food with people is a great way of equalizing people from, you know, caste, creed, profession. And I find it's a really good way of bringing people together, not just from a kind of socioeconomic perspective, but also from a culture perspective, a religious perspective. You know, who doesn't like to eat, right? So, you know, bringing people from, you know, eclectic or different diversity of thinking, religion, everything, putting them on the table and eating with them is a great way of leveling. It's a great way for people to be able to connect. And if they can't talk about anything else, they can at least talk about how great the curry is, right? It's a really good way of connecting people. So Hungry Hindu was kind of spawned from my love of food. Probably, how many years ago? I'm going to share my age now. Just over 20 years ago, when I was moving away from home, I realized that I would not be able to eat home cooked food if I didn't know how to make it. So I spent a summer learning the tricks of the trade, let's say, on Indian food, how to make all the different Indian foods, how to make good curries. And then, you know, you learn, but you have to keep practicing. So, you know, for 20 years, I've been practicing and perfecting. You know, I'm a vegetarian, mainly vegan, especially with the kind of being Hindu as well. So you can make, you know, 200 dishes out of a potato, let's say, right? So there's so much things you can do with just vegetables and spices. So it's always I'm a student to food. There's always things that you can learn. There's always new recipes you can learn. So my love of food, I thought it would be a great idea to be able to share my recipes. So I share them on HungryHindu.com. You know, I get maybe 17,000 people a month hitting my website. So quite a lot of people come and read the same recipes again and again and again. But whenever they think they're going to make something, they go in, they read the recipes, and make the food. So it's a great way of sharing, you know, traditional food, but also kind of being able to connect with people that I would never otherwise connect with.
Yeah, wow, that's excellent. So yes, definitely head to hungryhindu.com for any kind of food, isn't it? Because there's a mix of different recipes, not just Indian food, but also European food. And are there people putting on their recipes as well? They can upload. Is that right?
So people can submit their recipes, and I'll reference them. I'll make their dish. I'll taste it, and I'll take pictures of it, and I'll put it onto the site. So it's all about people being able to share their love for food, and then other people being able across the world to be able to make it. You know, so I get a lot of people from Africa and East Africa, and lots of people from Australia looking at our recipes, and that's amazing. What a great time to be alive, where you can post an idea and people from across the world, you know, two tangential kind of places in the world, are making something that you've posted. So I think it's a brilliant time to be alive.
That's great. I need to make sure I post some Czech food on there, some dumplings and sauces. Maybe we'll try out.
For sure.
I'll do it. So I also kind of went through some of the recipes, and there's one that kind of caught my attention. I love desserts, and I don't know what I'm going to pronounce it right, but I'll try. Duj poha, is that right? Duj poha.
Yeah, Duj poha.
Poha, yeah. And there was a story behind it, that it's sort of connected to the Hindu harvest festival. So can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So Duj poha is basically, poha is rice or flat rice. It's almost like rice pudding. And Dud is milk. So I typically make it with kind of almond milk, but you can use normal milk as well. And the idea is to make the rice pudding as you normally would with, you know, with your boiling your milk and then putting your kind of your poha and your rice in. But the twist here is that you're able to then add kind of very nice Indian spices, so pistachios, almonds, cardamom, and saffron. So it really gives this really rich and complex taste. So it's not just, and sugar, obviously, it's a sweet dish. So, but it gives you a really nice, complex kind of, it's a pudding, but it's quite a sophisticated taste to that pudding, especially with the saffron. So yeah, and it's typically used as a way of celebrating kind of a harvest. It's made for celebration. So it's made for, because it's a sweet dish, and Indians typically love sweet food. So Diwali is coming up next week, so it's going to be a mad rush to buy lots of sweets and you know get sugar rushes. So it's a dish that's used typically for celebrating harvest, and you know, you make Duj poha and you can kind of share it with the family, but also you make it as a dessert for if you've got people around, because it's just a lovely, mild, sweet dish that you with sophisticated flavors with the saffron and cardamom coming through
Yeah.
that you can really enjoy, clears your palate out after you've had a curry or something, and it just leaves this really nice sweet taste in your mouth.
Lovely. I'll try that out, definitely, especially now for winter days. Is it eaten warm as well? Is it eaten warm?
You can have it either way. So you
Yeah.
can have it warm if you want. Typically, you'd have it cold. So you
Okay.
just make it when you make your food, and then you can have it cold. If you want to have it warm, you can have it warm as well. So yeah, and it's, you know, with food, it's whatever way you like it.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know,
True.
if you like it hot, have it hot. So it's fine.
Yummy. And so the winter is coming up. So do you have any favorite recipe you kind of recommend for winter days?
So I was thinking about this. What are the key things that I would make? And typically in a winter day, I want something quite spicy, something quite hot. So there's probably two dishes I can recommend. One is a khichdi, which is basically mixed vegetables. It's lentils, it's rice. You put it into a pressure cooker with lots of spices, and you cook it with water, and then you get this kind of very wholesome, very well balanced dish with your vegetables and your protein and your carbohydrates, but quite spicy as well. So that's probably one of them. The other one, which I typically make, and I can make, you can make it for supper, you can make it for breakfast, you can eat it whenever you want, really. Yeah. It's called Vaghela rotli, which is basically a spiced rotli, which is rotli is the flatbread. Now, you may not have rotli lying around in your house, so you can make the same thing with tortillas, just round tortillas. Chop them up into squares, some oil, some mustard seeds, some jeera, let that pop, lots of ginger, lots of chili, then put your rotli in, or your tortilla wraps, saute it with salt. I'm thinking of the Indian spice. Think of the Indian spice, English spice. So turmeric, and then coriander powder and jeera powder. Mix that together, and then you make what you call it's called a chas, which is basically yogurt and water. So mix that yogurt and water in and put it in. So you get this almost yellow orangey soup, but it's got bits of like you know, your rotli, and it's super spicy with all that ginger in, and it really helps, you know, if you've got a cold or you've just come in from a, you know, cold walk outside. It really opens you up and warms you up inside. So I do love a good Vaghela rotli. And then, you know, you have leftovers, you can have it for breakfast. It's a perfect dish, and it's literally a 5-minute curry. You can just chop it up, put it in. There's not really much spice apart from the ones I've talked about. Yogurt and water, and then just you're good to go.
Oh, that's brilliant. That sounds great, and especially good for the immune system, as you said, for the winter days.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Am I making you hungry, Gabby?
Yes, very. So you also, Hungry Hindu also has got some clothing range. Last time I checked. And I love this lovely hoodie. So how did that come about, and are you creating the designs, or just tell me about that.
Sure. So there's a few things in the store. I've got some spice boxes. I've got some metal plates that I've had made. So and then the clothing range. So typically it's hoodies, men, women, and children, and t-shirts as well. How I go about styling them is I've got one that's a self-love club. It's not a kind of my own thing, but it's something I really believe in, which is you've got to love yourself. You've got to make sure that you're happy with yourself, and therefore then you're content in life, that you can love others. So other ones are a bit more funny. Some are kind of vegan range. So, talking about, there's one that I've got which says holy shiitake.
That's what I was thinking.
Mushroom. Exactly. I come up with these ideas. I'll see things. And I'll just come and kind of get them designed, and then they're ready to go. And then you can buy them and own your own merch, I guess. So so there you go. And I tend to, now my kids and I just buy my own brand, right? It's kind of, and they love it as well. So, and I get stopped where people say, what's Hungry Hindu? And I can have a conversation with them. And
Yeah.
typically, if it's a festival or something, people typically will give me free food because
Okay.
they want me to tweet about their restaurant. So yeah, so it's but I don't do it for free food, but it's just my brand, and I'm wearing my brand, which is
That's right.
the main thing.
Yeah, and looks really good as well. I would definitely buy the self-love club, did you say?
Yeah.
That's
For
really
sure.
cool as well.
I look forward to seeing your Instagrams of wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah. I'll get myself one for Christmas, Bhavesh. I will do that. And then, so sort of like last question, because before we wrap up, it's whether you have sort of like any wisdom for people who have an idea and kind of want to make things happen and get to the stage where they say, oh, I just love what I'm doing. So yeah, any wisdom you can share with us?
I guess if you've got an idea, you know, and no one's perfect. I have a million ideas, and I sometimes go, I don't know where to start. I should do something here. Don't know where to start. But you've got to start somewhere. So, you know, if you've got an idea, find someone who's doing something that you do already and go and talk to them if you can. Else, just do one thing every day to move you forward. Because by not doing anything, you're going backwards. So what I'd say is your ideas are there to be executed, but don't fear failure, because ultimately 99 of your ideas may not work and one will work. So, but the 99 that didn't work, you will learn a lot from. So don't fear that failure. To love what you do, I guess it depends on how connected you are to yourself and really understanding who you are as a person. What are your trigger points? What makes you happy? Because I don't believe, you know, you are defined by your profession, but you are defined by what you do and how you react, and where you're most comfortable and where you're most happy. So really think about, you know, there's a thing that, you know, we do in NLP, which is like your value wheel. But do a wheel and write on each of the points of that wheel. If you think about the spokes on a wheel, write the things that you really, you know, the things that you enjoy about a specific task or something, going on holiday, whatever it is. And it could be variety, it could be meeting new people, learning new things, doing something with a purpose, helping the vulnerable. And then from a scale of 1 to 10, just put which ones of these are the most important for you.
Okay.
And that should give you a good picture to say, actually, for me, what's most important is meeting like-minded people who are kind, who I want to make a difference in society and in the world. And I want to try new and exciting new things, and I want to learn, right? They might be my 4 out of 8 things that are super important to me. Then you can use that to almost be your compass and say, right, what things can I do that are going to give me 4 or 3 of these things, and then do it, and then see how you feel. Because you might go, oh, I really love people, but once you get surrounded by lots of people, you might go, actually, I'm an introvert and I don't really like spending so much time with people. And that's good, right? But that allows you to calibrate your compass, and you just keep doing that. And that's life, really. Life is all about calibrating your compass and seeking your next adventure. You're not able, you're never going to, there's no destination in life, right? You're going to always be on an adventure. And some of the adventures are going to be pretty shitty and not very good. And some are going to be amazing, right? And it's about holding on to the amazing and the great ones and getting through the shitty ones to get to a point where you're continuously on that journey. And you'll love things for a period of time as well, baking. But there might be a point in time where I don't really like baking anymore. So, you know, be mindful that these things will continuously change. Calibrate your compass. Make sure you've got a thing that's pointing you to your true north, and then just keep going.
Wow, that's pretty cool, and I definitely agree with that. You kind of have to start and then fail and then pick yourself up again and try things, and it's like a constant everyday learning. Even when you think, oh, I kind of know myself pretty well and I know what I want, and then sometimes you kind of hit a wall and you need to sort of start again. But yeah, as you said, it's a journey. Life is definitely a journey to get somewhere or nowhere. So you just have to try. So Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Bhavesh. It was really great to have you here with me. Um, are we there? Can you hear me? Yeah. And yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. It was
yeah.
okay. Great. Yeah. So I just say that yeah, it's been a packed chat, but I really enjoyed it. There was lots of information and advice, and yeah, I really want to thank you for coming. So yeah, it was lovely to see you. And yeah, for everyone, hungryhindu.com. Get the recipes and get the lovely hoodies for Christmas.
Thank you,
Okay.
Gabby, and thanks for your time. Take
Okay.
care.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.